All right, it's time for my first crack.
What do you got now?
Well, I'm coming in hot.
You're warming up.
Who are you going to delist here?
Well, is it too hot for the Suns in September? And I only say that because Adelaide haven't played finals since 2017. Gold Coast are on the verge of playing their first ever finals. Adelaide, you talked about the cauldron and what Collingwood would bring at the MCG. Well, what Adelaide's going to bring, you've got to prepare yourself for, and they were not prepared one little bit in terms of the Suns. So if it's Big Boy Month, it was a poor performance, and I'm just going to talk about the first half because the scores are relevant. If I've given you some stats and you didn't know the scoreline, and I said from an inside 50 perspective, Gold Coast at halftime +1, tackles inside 50 +5, clearances +2.
Take that.
If I said that to you right now, what do you think the scoreline would be?
Well, I'd take that if I was Gold Coast Suns.
Correct. Well, let's flick to the scoreline at halftime. 59-4. Yeah. So this is where you put it on your players and you say, righto, as we approach September, if we play and we know how tight it's going to be, we need you, when we get it inside 50, looking at the first stat, that we need you to stand up. We need you to be big boys. And they were targeted 5 times, King and Walter, for 2 handballs, 1 kick. Didn't go near it, didn't give a yelp. Adelaide helped themselves. Ben Long, 2 handballs. We know he's been chaos all year. They just didn't bring it in the first half. They turned their toes up.
And we've put that on the radar a little bit, the 3 tools. I don't think they work for this group. I mean, in the comparison to the Adelaide Crows, tall 3 is poles apart. The Suns get 85 goals from marks for the year, AFL 14th. The Crows have 131 goals. It's almost 50 goals more, and they're AFL number 1. Do you see them continuing with the 3 tools, or do they have to make change now with a little bit of a runway into the finals?
Well, I think the fact they played Reid, Walter, King, it's a cider. Now it's decision time. I don't think they play them at all.
He's gone with them all year, though. He's left it late if he changes what his system is now. And they are, as Kingy said, the least effective big 3 out of all the teams in the top 8 that have them, except for Geelong, who've only got the 2. But they're the least effective. And there's still going to be some question marks when in a finals-like intensity whether those big boys can get it done. Yeah,
well, I mentioned the stats. So half-time, it's the first time in their history they haven't kicked a goal in the first half. And Damien Hardwick's always full of a synopsis in terms of where the Suns are going. So let's have a listen to what he thought of the game after.
Every good side I've been a part of gets a kick in the nuts at some stage. Today was our kick in the nuts. Like I said, there's some things in our game that, the scoreboard us. We didn't kick very well, we didn't take our chances, and they did, sort of thing. So, as I said, you've got to take your chances when you play over. And, we had some outstanding looks going across the arcs, and we just stuffed them up.
I can back him up there. One of the kick in the nuts in 2017 when Richmond won their first flag. St Kilda, we played them in round 16. We beat them by 67 points. And we were near each other the ladder, and from that moment on, they didn't lose another game and won a flag. So that has happened to Damien Hardwick's teams in the past. They've just got to bounce back and lick their wounds. But they've got Brisbane in a Q clash next week. So they'd want to get back on track and bring that intensity from the start.
Big boy fortnight, isn't it? Got a kick in the plums, I love that. 61 points, though, at Adelaide Oval, so it was a disastrous for the Suns. But let's celebrate Adelaide because they are a serious contender. We know what they're sitting in top 4. And Neil Bullen, what a recruit he's been this year in terms of 31 disposals a day, 3 goals. But it was just a spread of effort, Kingy, wasn't it?
Yeah, I like their back 6. I actually love their back 6. And they're no name and they're no fuss and they get the job done. They're prepared to put their bodies on the line. I marvel at what Josh Worrell's able to do. And I think that he's a player that's growing right before our eyes. Since round 12, only Tom Stewart's won the ball back more in the competition than Mark Keane and Josh Worrell. He just stands there and takes all sorts of punishment. He has no fear. He's probably, if you're ranking right now, the Rose Award for the toughest player in the competition, he'd be right there in my opinion. Well, he just stands under a high ball. You'd love to play with him. And he had 9 intercepts in the defensive 50 alone. 3 of those were intercept marks. They took 31 intercepts in the defensive 50, which is a season high for the Crows. They were awesome. And I think they're only getting better, Joey.
Yep.
They're building a bit of a chemistry. They're a force, this team. And it's not just because of Rankin and the big 3 in the forward line and Dawson. They complement each section of the ground is complemented by another.
We keep saying that they're an unheralded or an underrated back 6, but we keep talking about Worrell and Mike Laney are going to be stars. They are on the verge of becoming stars of the competition with their roles, and it's taken a while for maybe some people to realise it, but they're growing by the week and they're playing together. They haven't played a lot together as a back group until this season, and I still think they're getting better.
Yep. Time for Health is Your Best Friend, thanks to HBF Health Insurance. Daniel Rioli with a suspected calf. So as we get to the pointy end of the season and you lose a player like Daniel Rioli, it's going to to hurt your chances, Joey.
It is, and we know the critical role that he plays in Damien Hardwick's system. So thankfully, he's still got enough time, and of course, we have the bye before the final series, so you do get that extra week to get back. But he's going to be pivotal. Hopefully, it's not a serious one. That's the difference between a little 3-week nick and a 6-weeker, if it's anything more sinister.
Well, the problem is they've got Brisbane and the Giants on the run home, Joey, and they're probably going to have to bank one of those games. So you need all your stars out there. He's been such a good player for them. And where would he be in their best and fairest? He'd probably be in
top
the top
5.
Yeah, top 4 or 5.
Yep. All right, the first game on your Sunday ticket was Geelong and St Kilda. 31 points to the Cats. They were in cruise control pretty much the whole game, and Cameron just gapping the competition with 5 goals for the Coleman. But they were dominant, and right from the get-go, they just put the Saints on the back foot, and they sort of cruised as they do at GMHBA Stadium. The Saints fought back a little bit, and Wanganeen-Milera, 36 disposals. But Kingy, in terms of Tom Stewart, he was subbed out later in the game, but how did you see him early?
I'm just looking at their back half, and particularly that winner's wedge we call the half-back flank area there. If you can't counter punch and springboard from there, you can't win the flag. I don't care who you are. That's why we're talking positively about Fremantle in the last quarter. We showed Tom Stewart on the midweek crack show, on the preview show, how he wasn't prepared to bite that kick off there into the corridor, and I think it's hurting them. He was prepared to go lateral, and we talk about the top liners in the competition, like a Dane Zorko, which we'll show later, see it, hit it. So today, it's all I'm watching to see when there's been any adjustments made. And I don't know whether this is by design or just happenstance, but you can see this is exactly the same kick. And he bites it off. And they go forward and score, and you say, OK, maybe they are starting to play a bit more expansive footy, because this is what the competition is telling you. If you want to win, you've got to be confident enough to put the ball into contest for your forwards to go to work. Get it there quick, in isolation, if not outnumber, and away you go. So I think there's some subtle changes. They kicked 6 goals off their half-back flank in the first half, and they haven't done that since forever, really. They've been averaging something like 10 points off that half-back flank area. So that's a big result for them in a half of football.
This is the beauty about this team and this coach, is they can adjust their game style, adjust what they want to do within weeks because of how experienced they are and how well they know each other's system. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do make some adjustments, because they weren't flying, and maybe still not anywhere near their best, but they've still got 5 weeks to hit their best form before September.
Wanganeen-Milera, 36, Joey. Is the ink not far away?
We're still waiting. We're still waiting for the signature. But what we're no longer waiting for, Kingy, is finally he's now a full-time mid.
Mate.
It's been building and building. He had
Come on,
6
Ross.
centre bounces in round 17.
What have you been doing?
He went into 13 centre bounces last week, and finally he went in almost every centre bounce this week. And you get this result. You get the game where you go, thank you. He's now the bona fide superstar midfielder they've been looking for. They've been trying to go after Callaghan and LDU. Well, he's right under their nose. Now they've just got to keep.
You've got to explore. You've got to explore.
Of course you do. Find out.
Come on.
Yeah. So it took a while we got there.
Yeah, took too long, to be fair. It's taken too long, Joey. We're laughing about it. But this sort of impact on a game of football, we should have seen 30 times by now. We shouldn't be talking about it when there's a chance of losing him with 6 weeks to go. So I fear that he's about to walk out the door, having now just established himself as an elite player.
Yep, well, he's elite, all right. He's A+.